Imagine planning every detail of your retirement, from the high-level life plans to do more travel, spend more time with the grandkids, maybe even splurge on that club membership, all the way down to the minutia of when to take CPP and how to convert your assets into a retirement income stream, only to face the unforeseen and heart-wrenching reality of losing your life partner, your spouse, all too soon. This often invisible risk is one that many don't consider until it's too late. And beyond the emotional turmoil lies a maze of financial uncertainties. So in this video, we'll unpack the unavoidable stats behind this risk. We'll talk about the two key financial vulnerabilities faced by widowers, and we'll highlight the emotional and financial steps that you can take to be better prepared should this happen to you or one of your loved ones. If we haven't met, I'm Steve Willems. I'm a wealth advisor with the Willems Wealth Planning Group out here in BC. We started this channel to help you plan for your own retirement, helping you think about how to plan and arrange your investments, your income streams, and ideally, have you pay less tax along the way. Now, for most of us, this is a topic we'd probably prefer to straight up ignore. Easy to shy away and instead focus on the more pleasant aspects of planning for our retirement together. Yet the statistics point a stark picture that we just can't afford to ignore. According to a study by the U.S. Census Bureau, among those 75 years or older who had ever married, 58% of women and 28% of men had experienced the death of a spouse in their lifetime. In Canada, data from Statistics Canada mirrors this, showing a significant percentage of the senior population facing retirement alone after the loss of a spouse. Further, the average age of widowhood is just 56. This means that 9 out of 10 Canadian women will be in full custody over their financial fate at some point in their lives. Lost in the data here are real people. Picture Louise. She's 71. She recently lost her husband and is now a reluctant inductee into this sphere of family finance, a realm previously tasked off to her capable but now deceased husband. She's now faced with a double whammy of despair of losing her spouse and being surprised by the burden of financial planning. And it's never crossed her mind that one day she may have to manage the family finances all on her own, and only in hindsight does she wish that she had taken the time to go through the numbers well before tragedy had hit her life. Now, this life change often exposes a key financial vulnerability that comes into sharp focus after the loss of a spouse. This is a critical area where being forewarned is being forearmed. The vulnerabilities are twofold. Number one, managing the immediate financial impact while also ensuring long-term security. For instance, the loss of a spouse can mean the loss of their pension, health benefits, their OAS entitlement, all of which many couples count on to support their retirement lifestyle. Further, transitioning from a dual income household to a single income household can significantly alter your entire financial landscape beyond the initial ways that you might think, from how much you spend on a day-to-day to how much tax you pay, to how your long-term investment strategy might need to change. Now, because of these vulnerabilities, it's important to prepare, and not just out of necessity, which, as the numbers clearly indicate, this scenario will happen, but out of a gesture of love and care for your partner. The cornerstone here is open and honest communication. Both partners need to have a clear understanding of where they stand financially, including knowledge of accounts, passwords, location of important financial documents. It's also crucial to have both names on all assets where possible, ensuring that that transition of ownership is as smooth as possible. Vehicles are the piece here that's often missed. Not uncommon to see individuals listed on the vehicles, which can create a small probatable estate if it's not otherwise dealt with ahead of time. To help you get organized, we've put together a planning guide. It's a fillable PDF, which you could use to document everything all in one place. Passwords, account numbers, rewards programs, policy numbers, down to funeral wishes and family tree details that others might forget but are trapped up somewhere in your mind there. If you'd like to grab a copy of that planning guide workbook, I'll put a link in the description below and you can grab that download. Additionally, engaging in joint financial planning with the help of a professional advisor can help identify potential vulnerabilities and craft strategies to mitigate those risks. This might look like setting up a joint bank account, ensuring both partners are beneficiaries on all their policies, understanding the tax implications of transferring assets from one spot to the other. This advisor can also serve as a quarterback or maybe even a coach should this circumstance actually play out for you They're going to be there to assist the surviving spouse with both the financial details and the required tasks, but also there is a cord of relational continuity. We've seen that be incredibly valuable as we've come alongside many widowed women in particular. Other ways to prepare financially, maintaining an emergency fund that can cover maybe 6 to 12 months of living expenses, that can provide a financial buffer that allows the surviving spouse to not make decisions without the pressure of immediate financial need. Some extra cash in the bank, again, not necessarily the right thing from a rate of return standpoint, but when that true emergency hits, it becomes priceless. As you think about this risk, there's obviously a role here for life insurance. As a reminder, life insurance is a tool used to offset the risk of circumstances that are both unlikely to occur and, if they did occur, would be financially devastating. So when you're younger, term insurance is often used to replace lost income, but as you age, it's not uncommon for permanent life insurance to be used to deal with estate taxes, provide a pot of liquid cash for immediate distribution, something along those lines. Having updated wills and powers of attorney should be pretty obvious here, so it shouldn't even need to be said. But still today, only 48% of Canadians actually have a will. Thankfully, that increases to 74% for those aged 55 and older. But that still leaves a shocking 26% of Canadians in that age bracket without. Here, you'll want to ensure that those documents are up to date and that they reflect your current intentions. Anything irregular in your situation should be an immediate prompt for discussion with a planner or an estate lawyer. A second marriage, blended family, estranged kids, specific wishes for specific assets, loans that require forgiveness, kids with disabilities, kids who struggle with money. All of these will be triggers for deeper discussions now, because your will shouldn't be white labeled an off-the-shelf model. It'll likely require more nuance and thought. Doing this work now will save massive heartache and expense later on. After you lose a spouse, this again will be something that you need to review. Fair to take some time to process the loss, gain your bearings, and then pull the will back out to see that if, in light of this big life change, if the current direction still makes sense. Recently, I reviewed a case for a client where after her husband passed, a number of adjustments were required to her will, removing some names, addition of others, some compensation paid to an executor, revisions on some trusts. Now, the original will was only 18 months old, but so much life has happened since her husband passed that these tweaks were now necessary. Now, when you lose a spouse, the last thing you want to navigate on top of all of this is a complex tax situation. So understanding and planning around the tax implications can ease the transition. In Canada, the tax system treats the surviving spouse with certain tax considerations that you'll want to be proactive on. You'll want to consider any spousal rollover benefits, which will allow the transfer of registered assets to the surviving spouse without any immediate tax implications. Safest to ensure one another are listed as successor plan holder versus primary beneficiary when you do this. There's a number of reasons and benefits for this approach. Number one, there's a continuation of the tax-free status. So for the TFSA, a successor holder maintains accounts in a tax-free status beyond the original holder's passing, which allows for the continued contributions and investments to be retained in that TFSA account. Number two, a successor annuitant on a RIF can decide if and when to collapse a deceased's RIF account. This offers greater flexibility to compared to just receiving a lump sum as a beneficiary. And third, there's just simplified tax rollover. Just naming a spouse often results in an automatic tax rollover for transferred funds. It reduces the need for any additional tax filings or extra steps required there. Now, if each of you know where everything's at because the beneficiaries are listed properly, the will is updated, some people are still surprised when they go to file their first tax return as a single person. And here's why. Let's assume no change to the widower's income. So all the pensions, let's say were 100% joint life pensions, rolled over to the survivor, no change to the investment income or anything. Let's say before you had $120,000 of income that was split onto two tax returns. So on $60,000 of individual income, you'd be paying about $9,924 of combined federal and BC provincial tax per person. So let's double that, $19,848 of total tax on $120,000 of income. Now, when a spouse dies, you can no longer split that income onto two tax returns and take advantage of lower progressive tax rates as those two filers. Now it's got to go on to one return. And so the total tax steps up from about $20,000 to about $28,649. Again, no change to income, just a higher tax cost as a single filer, at least out here in BC. There are some things that you can do to deal with this, but nonetheless, it catches many people off guard. If you find yourself in this position, it's vital to recognize that financial readiness, while essential, is just one part of the equation. Emotional resilience is equally important in the face of loss. You probably don't need a financial planner telling you this. Acknowledge the grief. Understand that grieving is a process, one that varies so much from person to person. There's no right way to grieve. Lean on support networks, whether that's friends, family, or a formal support group. Often the shared experience can provide comfort and understanding. Often professional guidance is also helpful, taking the shape of maybe professional counseling. A therapist specializing in grief can offer strategies to help cope with loss. We've also seen that maintaining routine, albeit minor, can provide a sense of structure and normalcy amidst the chaos of loss. Small little anchors that can help to keep you grounded. In the face of profound loss, being prepared can provide a semblance of control and security during a tumultuous time. If you're navigating retirement planning with your spouse, take time now to discuss and plan for this inevitable risk. If you need a hand, our team's here to help guide you through building a comprehensive plan that accounts for all of life's uncertainties. Every week, we set aside a few time slots to help folks get answers to their individual questions, the ones that you wouldn't want to write in a comment section on YouTube. If you'd like to take advantage of that offer, I'll put a link in the description below. Facing the reality of loss is never easy, but preparation can certainly ease the financial transition and allow some extra space for healing. If this was helpful, hit that like button. Consider subscribing for more videos on how we can help you support your future retirement. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.